Very good afternoon to all. Thank you for being here today. Welcome to Tally CA Connect. So our today's topic of discussion is on GST reporting with TallyPrime. 2 weeks back, we had a session on filing GST returns with TallyPrime, and we received many requests as to cover the basics of GST reporting and returns with TallyPrime instead of just reaching out only with the problem areas only. So we requested Monika ji to take this session so that where we can cover the filing of the GSTR returns, and she has been generous enough to suggest that the topic would be more clearer if we do a session in 2 parts, so that every aspects of the GST compliance can be done in a better way, and she can do more justice. So Monika ji, for the suggestion alone, thanks to you. And I'm sure this recording being always in the archive will be a very useful, and people can always go back to refer to it. So let's make the best of this opportunity. All thanks to you. A brief introduction to Monika ji. Firstly, her sessions are a big hit as she always has the practical approach for the daily queries people face during the business compliance process and everything. And she is a practicing CA. She has worked in the areas of direct tax, indirect tax. She has worked with the auditing and assurance of corporates, non-corporates, including manufacturing company. She's a frequent faculty at SIRC of ICI. So welcome, Monika ji. Thank you so much for being here today. And especially when you're not feeling well and you do not cancel this session. So we owe it to you big time. Without
Thank you so much.
further wasting time, we can move on. Thank you. To the audience, how do you prefer, Monika ji? Are you okay with the questions coming in the chat or Q&A only so that we can do it at one go? How would you prefer it?
Can you bring in relevant Q&As in between, if at all it's very relevant at the topic? Good evening, everyone. Please bear with my voice today. I have a little bit of cold, so please bear with it. Having said that, this topic has come into play a lot of times, so this is not a new topic per se. It's a pretty much old topic. But having said that, it's still very, very relevant. The topic of GST, I think, not going to go out of context for the next couple of years at least. And having said that, Tally is bringing in a lot of features which can use and simplify our filing process. So when we talk about filing, I don't always say that, filing is a two-minute job. I always say that. But, the procedure that goes before the filing, that is what is most relevant. And it actually starts right at the inception of the planning. I'm not even talking about entry. I'm talking before the entry. How do you, set up your implementation? How do you set up your structure? That defines how you're going to do your transaction. That will define how soon or late you're going to file your returns. So having said that, let's not waste much time. I don't have a big presentation, so we can just go ahead with it. So today's topic, as you know, this the 2 days session, as in this week and next week. So this week we will focus only on the implementation and the things that happened before the filing. Okay, we're not going to even look into the GST return for today, but we will see how we can, design our accounts in such a way that our return filing becomes seamless. Also, how to keep track of, various automation that are possible without the need of TDLs. So how can we do a lot of automation without requiring any additional TDLs, which are in the market? But having said that, for specific needs, you might require those TDLs, but can you do without it? Is what the question which I want to raise. Let us just look forward and see. I always start my session a quote. So today's quote is working smart doesn't mean working less. It just means working hard on what truly matters. So we don't need to slog into, say, manual data entry. We are way past it. Now we don't even need to do manual reconciliation. We're way past that as well. So, that is what smart work means. So we don't have to do recurring tasks again and again. As much as possible, let us just automate it. So yeah, these are also the quotes. This particular quote is very, very relevant. Hard work takes you to the top. but only smart work keeps you there. If you see any example, you will be able to see that, people who work hard are stagnant at certain level because they do not use smartness along with their hard work. I don't mean kindness. I mean smartness. So you're supposed to work smart, integrate some technology. People who don't adapt, remain. Okay, this is also a standard slide in all of my presentations, but very relevant in all the presentations. Now, question to you is, what would be the starting point of any activity? Where would you start? What would be your start point? Since we're talking in GST terms, I would go directly without, wasting time. I would ask you, tell me, would be the starting point of return filing? Since or say transaction recording of transaction, what should be your starting point? Should it be the source, which is your say your entry or whatever, the document based on which you're going to pass the entry, or should it be the say the storage, like say the invoice copy in case of purchase transaction, the invoice copy in case of sales, maybe the order, or say the sales summary, or whatever be the case, or is it the procedure where the mode of recording the transaction, or the transaction itself, the final output? What would be the starting point? Can we quickly have some answers in the chat, please? Yeah, so I will wait for another minute. I'm not seeing any answers. I need some enthusiasm from the crowd. I need some sort of transaction itself. What do you mean by transaction itself, Mr. I'm not sure who this is. APG. What do we mean by transaction itself? Source of entry is one answer. Documents, not very clear, but uh, P2P source. Okay. Okay. I have quite a few answers. I'll wait for 10 more seconds. If someone wants to put in your answers, please put in your answers at the earliest. Okay. 5 more seconds to go. Source of entry, documentation. Again, I received documentation. Okay, fine, understood. So that means you're meaning storage. Sales of goods, provision of stuff, invoices raised. Okay, majority of the people here are saying, say input is your starting point. Okay, and a few people say the documentation or the process. Okay, but I received no answer saying output or the result is your, starting point. And it's an unpopular opinion, but according to me, output is the starting point. Otherwise, you will have to be in the loop of redoing the transaction. Now, I'll give you the easiest example. All of us have been through examinations. I'm sure for many of us, examinations have haunted us for years together. For some of us, maybe, we are well prepared and may not haunt much, but all of us have faced examinations. Now you tell me, when you prepare for an exam, do you see, do you input is the books, right? So you're saying, I will read the book cover to cover from page 1 to page last, and I'm going to be prepared no matter what question comes? Or are you going to prepare, or you're going to be like, okay, fine, I will do this procedure, I will take care of the procedure? Or do you go, okay, 5 mark questions, these many, 10 mark questions, these many, 1 mark question, these many, and prepare accordingly? How do we do it? How do we do it? Or say, when we have to reach somewhere, we first decide where to go and then we start from where we are. I'm sure all of us would agree with that. Similarly, for any activity, okay, these were all very mundane, regular lifetime activities. Now let's come to the GST scenario. Now, if you ask me, when I'm saying output is the starting point, I am saying uh, because if you just see, if you know what are the contents that are supposed to be in the invoice, okay, your recording of transactions will be perfect. You will not miss out anything. But imagine you started with the input, or you started with the storage, or you started with the process, and you forgot recording important information. For example, in a sales transaction, you're supposed to record the GST number of the party. If not the GST number, you're supposed to mention their address and name. Yeah, the invoice number should be only 16 digit, not more. It can be lesser, but it could be more than 16 digit. Yeah. Now imagine if you create an invoice number very fancy, 17 digit invoice number, all your work will go in vain because you have not followed what was supposed to be followed. How will you know what you're supposed to follow? Only if you see what is required, and what is required always in the output. Okay. Now, if you look into the return per se, now if you know what your return requires, now if you see the return is divided into parts. You want B2B, you want B2C, you want SEZ separately, you want rate-wise information. All that is required. Invoice number, everything has to be there. The place of supply has to be right. Only if you know what is required in your return, will you do your recording of transaction, will you do your reconciliation accordingly so that you can reach your return faster. Okay. So the goal has to be in your mind always. So, according to me, the output will be the starting point. We might have, varying, opinions. But if you ask me, keeping output as your starting point will be a better way to start. Yeah. There is no growth in your comfort level. Only if you come out of it, you will be able to see better heights. But having said that, you can't just blindly come out of your comfort cushion. You will have to be prepared. You will have to equip yourself with knowledge and requirement. Now, just to warm up, all of us know GST is levied on supply of goods and services. Yeah. And there are two differentiations within state and interstate. Now, this requirement is even more relevant, and also, you know, and interstate and import. Why import has been added? Because GST is levied on reverse charge basis in imports. Yeah. So, we miss out on these transactions because we don't have that requirement. We do not, be prepared for those requirements. Okay. Now coming to today's agenda, we will do a quick walkthrough because I'm sure all of us know the procedure. I'll just do a quick, walkthrough of the setup. We'll see how planning can be done, like at various levels. At what level do you want to implement your GST, and why this planning is required. We'll just spend a little time on that and see what are the various configurations that are there. And specifically inventory, I have mentioned, we look into that as well. And finally, we'll see a little bit of automations and customization so that we can save some time. Okay. Without further ado, I'll just quickly take you through Tally. Yeah. So this is what our Tally looks like. The first step, I'm sure all of us know, is at F11 company where we enable our GST. Yeah. So once we enable, now I will go a little slow since this was just a very, very generic topic. I was pretty fast. But now I will go a little slower wherever it is required. In case you do not follow, please put it up so that we can redo the same. Okay. We will go a little slower where it is necessary. Excuse me. Yeah. So the first enabling is sure. Now, do you want to go inside? Yes. Now, in this case, I will just go to a Tally where there are not many, say, registrations that we can come here again the moment we are ready with that information. Okay. Um, yeah. So for F11 company features again, we'll come directly to here. Yeah, so this is what your screen looks like. Now you have certain additions made to this version onwards, for 3 version onwards actually. There's something known as a registration status. Now what happens if you don't file your return for say 3 consecutive months, or or any other reason, your GST license gets suspended temporarily. To do that, you have an option to activate or inactivate the company. That is why this option has been given. Or say you have done away, you have surrendered one of your licenses, one of your registrations. In that case, also you can deactivate your registration. The moment you deactivate, it will ask you a date, and post which you will not be able to pass any entries. Okay. Now, the state and the registration type. Now, address, they say primary address types, and that it will pick up from your uh, company data. Okay, if the moment you say primary, it will pick up from your company data. Now, registration type, if it's regular composition, as said, SSC and all of these questions. Now, this is again an addition because we have monthly or quarterly returns. I am going to choose monthly here, but you can choose quarterly or monthly as it suits your need. Now, e-invoicing, is e-invoice applicable? If so, from what date and what bill from place? Okay. Now, if you have multiple places, please do not fill this up. But in this case, the place is going to be fixed. So they have already mentioned it. Okay. Now, e-way bill, the similar, issues. Now, goods dispatch from. Okay. Just in case you have a godown which is located elsewhere, please do not mention primary and add an address here. Now, do you want to create, if you just look at this last thing, do you want to create another registration, GST registration for the company? Now, in this tally, if we just come, you'll be able to see here, the moment I say yes, it'll ask which registration. This is nothing but I have created multiple registrations. Okay, we can just get into, uh, yeah, I'm so sorry. We can just get into each registration and fill in the details. Now, if you'll ask me why this is required for those companies. So this is required for those, companies who want to maintain all their, pan-India data in one place. Okay. But will it coincide with all the returns? No. But they might want to prepare a same balance sheet throughout. They might have multi-user registration and they want to, keep their data at one place for those companies and in one data itself. So for those companies, this is very, very relevant. Now, there is one more option, set alter company GST rate and other details. If you just say yes, now here is where the first setup magic happens. Okay. Now, for example, you are a company or your client is a company that deals with just one product. Okay. They deal with one product throughout, and that is the product, and they are not in plans of expansion. In that scenario, you can mention your HSN and your GST information at the company level. This is level 1. Okay. Level 1 at company level, and you need not worry about HSN and GST rate information in any other level, say ledger, stock, or as the case may be. Okay. The moment you say you want to specify here, it will say, will pick up, no matter what transaction you do, HSN will be picked up from the company level. Okay. If you see here, there are 4 options not defined, which means you define at the time you pass entry. So you define at whichever level you want to define. Okay. Specify details here, which means you want to do it at the company level, which is the top macro level. You want to use GST classification. We'll come back to this in a little while. And then you want to specify in voucher. Along with that, specify details here will include ledger level, at stock level, say at group level. All those levels There's nothing but specify details here. Okay, then you'll have options of doing that in those level well. We'll come to that in a little while. So we mention specify details here. HSN code. In case you do not know HSN code, there is an option in the right side, get HSN info. Okay, the moment you do this, it asks you for a e-way. It'll ask you for e-invoice registration. At the moment, I do not have it. If you put in the information, if possible, I'll show it to you in a couple of moments if I'm able to lay my hands on it. Just give me a second if I have a login detail. Okay. Right now, I do not have it, but the moment I lay my hand on it, I will just show you this. Yeah. So the moment you put this, the entire HSN information will be shown there. So you can pick it up and your description will also be shown there and you can just pick it up and, verify it and then you can update it. Okay. Now, the reason, okay. Now, if you see earlier, HSN and rate information collided. But now if you see HSN information is separate and rate related information is separate. The reason being the same HSN code, you might have you might have two different rates. Okay. So for that reason, the rates and HSN have been, segregated. They've been separated so that, you can have the same HSN information, but the rate alone can vary according to the requirement. Now, if you will ask me, this is 4-digit HSN code. That's why the rates are, say double. If you have 8-digit, accordingly, you have singular HSN code in most of the cases. But there are still certain cases where you have double, two rates of HSN depending on your nature of transaction. Now, beyond this, there is something known as, I go to F12. Provide backup of tax, any cess you want to, reverse charge if you want to enable, okay, you can enable at company level. You'll have to enable it here for you to enable it or any other transaction. If any input tax credit is eligible or no, you'll have to enable it here. Get source of HN rate details in transaction. Set source of, sorry. This is like, if you want to give the power to set particular information to the accountant. Okay. Now, when we talk about power, we also talk about security. We will get into that in a couple of minutes, but that's very, very important if you want to protect your transactions from unwanted access. Also, if you want to protect your structure of data. Okay. Similarly, you want to reset status of any manually reconciled transaction. You want to do that, you say yes, your tally will reset and, all manually reconciled transactions will come as, what they were before it. Okay. Show GST advances for adjustment in transaction. This you say yes in case you have a lot of advances. Your business model has a lot of advances and you deduct GST on that. If that is the case, please say this as yes so that it'll show it as an adjustment. Now, there is control I more info. In that, you have something known as rate history. Say today the HSN code is 8415. Okay. And say on today's date, 22/5/24, I first want to maybe use different classification, or if I say specify details and or I'll just say use GST classification. We will create a classification. I will just show you how a classification is nothing but just a category which you have created and kept. Okay, so you can just say air conditioner. Okay, and you say okay, I'm going to specify it here 415. Okay. Okay, just mentioning it very vaguely. Okay, either you not defined or you say specify details here. Right now, I'm going to say specify details here. Whether it's taxable, non-taxable, you can choose that. For exempt, you can create another GST classification. The rate is say 28%. Applicable for reverse charge? No. Okay. Now we created a classification and we use that classification. Now how are we going to link that classification? I will show you again. I will just go back to this, use GST classification. I'm going to enter into this classification. We created one classification. Okay. That classification we said, okay, this is the HSN detail. Even in classification, you might say that I don't want to define it here. I want to define it elsewhere. Okay. That also can be done. And specified, I wanted to specify the rate also here because that is the purpose I'm creating this classification. Okay. And the moment I said this, now if you just look into this, can you just see this has changed? When you go to history, I'll just change the HSN code for our understanding. Okay, I'll just make it 8915. Okay, so for just our understanding, otherwise you will not be able to appreciate this. So from 22/5/24, the HSN is 8915. Okay, now we have just looked into it. We'll just go back and just create one voucher. Sorry, I'm just taking this party. It is not an Indian party. Okay, so now this is the party. Okay, it's a yellow party. Now I'm going to use sales. If you just I have not saved it. I'll just save it once more. Let it be. I'm sorry, I forgot saving this. I just escaped it at that moment. So I was not able to do it. So the moment I'm changing here, you'll notice that it's asking me the effective date for the revised GST details. Now, this is why this is to protect your earlier transactions that you have done, for them not to change. Okay. Any transaction you have done before, say, 1st May 2023, the old information that you had captured will be, prevalent. You will not be able to make those changes. Now, if you just look at this, uh, okay, the calculation comes automatically the moment you select the correct information. I am so sorry for the, in between hitch. So it's actually, if you make mistake anywhere, you will find that these issues keep cropping up at various levels again and again. So if I'll just show you once more, if you just look at this, as per Master's
Monika
company,
ji, there's
the
a
HSN
query,
code,
how to
yeah,
remove tracking number.
how to remove tracking number. Tracking number, uh, see, actually, you just say it's not applicable and you'll be able to remove it. There is no way to remove the tracking number which was generated. That you'll have to just cancel it. Okay, you can't remove it per se. You either disassociate it from tracking number, like how you just did. If you're asking me the string number itself should not come, how do we do that? Then you put into F11. I'm sorry, you'll have to come out of here. F11. Uh, oh my God. Okay, you want to do this track,
Saying then how to cancel it.
how to cancel it. See, I mean, I'll take you through it a little later. Can I just proceed with this? Because the thing is, the tracking number per se, once generated, you can't, remove it. There is a issue with that particular thing. But uh, once you have generated any tracking number that is lying idle, just one second.
Okay, we can take it later on if you're already showing.
Yeah.
Somebody is
Here you
asking,
will, it
can
will,
canceling the tracking number affect the audit trail?
yes, it will. It will.
Yeah, any changes?
Any changes to your transaction will show it in the audit trail. However, if you have a reasonable explanation, I don't think there should be any problem. Okay, so this was very simple transaction. I'm not just saving it, but if you just pass any transaction before that date, you will be able to see the earlier information. This is at company level. Let's go beyond it, a level down, where I was saying, that you do it at ledger or a group level. Now, if you look at the trial balance of this company, it has assets. I'm sorry, if you look at their stock summary, okay, it has a couple of items. It does not just have air conditioner, it deals in other products. Okay, now some products may be, say, 18%, some products may be 28%. Now, in case you're a company that deals in luxury products only, majority of your luxury products will fall in the 28% bracket. Okay, other than, say, precious metals and those categories. Any other luxury goods, okay, if we talk about generic luxury goods, they will all fall in the 28% tax bracket. In that case, what you can do is you can specify your GST rate at company level. Your HSN can be specified at, say, stock group level or item level. Now, this depends purely on your client's decision, how they want to, maintain their accounts. Now, when I'm talking about designing here, this can be a vertical in itself. It is a one-time task, but you have to define. Okay, this is something like doing uh, excuse me. It is like something like doing, a manual, infrastructure, your IT infrastructure in itself. Okay. So it is like preparing your IT policy, preparing your accounting software policy, wherein telling, okay, I'm going to maintain group wise. Okay. And group wise, what? You want to maintain category group wise, or you want to maintain rate group wise, you want to maintain HSN group wise. Okay. What are you going to group your stock as? If you're going to keep all stock like this, okay, this is an earphone, this is a wire, this is, say, some LG single door, this should be a fridge, maybe. Okay. This may be a cooler, this is television. This is just haphazard. Okay. If you are going to keep it like this, you will not have any head or tail. You have to have some system of segregation, which will help you also in your tax audit reporting, where we give the major items, right? We're supposed to give quantitative details of major items or all items, if they are all equally major, and only negligible you're allowed to omit. That also is like, if it's not material enough. So in that case also, your information will flow of information will be a huge issue for you. So if you are segregating your information beforehand, you'll be able to give a lot of reporting beforehand. You don't have to do much work. So all that happens at the planning stage. We're supposed to, plan. Now this planning will help you in your GST as well. Now what you can do is, in the group level itself, okay, you can mention that this is having all my air conditioners. Now imagine you have air conditioners of 18% and you have air conditioners of 28%. In that also, okay, you can simply say alias AC 28%. Okay. You can say AC luxury air conditioner. Okay. High end. Okay. Here, that that high end mostly will be 28%. I'm just giving an example. Okay. So, and whether it is coming under any other grouping, no, I want to meet in primary. Should quantities be added? Yes, this is the countable item. Now, what do you want to do for the HSN? Now, here, since we defined it at the stock group level, we are using that. I would say, no, I want to define it as the, a GST category. Now, this GST category will help you, as you don't have to keep picking up the GST HSN. I would say this is the best thing you can do. Create a category and keep using it as reference. Just use that similar category as reference, so that you don't make a mistake at your GST numbers. At least if not for rate, use it for your HSN. Because if you're dealing in a particular product, 90% of the product will fall in those HSN only. So you can create HSN information and at company stock level. Okay. I am not going to do any changes here, but this is the second level where you're going to do. Now, after, should you do at stock level? No, you should not do at stock level. Okay. It will automatically be picked up. In case you want to make the change, you make it. But caution, the moment it is done in group and stock item, there'll be a conflict and your entries might have a mismatch. So I would always suggest, please, if at all you want to do changes there, remove it from the stock group level and do for all the entries. Or just keep them without, you know, the setup, which would be a better option. Okay, similarly here again, you want to specify it here. So just say, I don't want to, specify it, I don't want to do it here. I will directly find voucher. As the case may be, do that and, proceed further. Now, having that, now we'll move a little more further, wherein we are, defining at ledger levels. Now, I would always suggest if there is stock involved, do not do any classification, any setup in the ledger level. Do it in the stock level, either at the group level or at the item level, but not do it in the ledger level. The reason being, you might want to use the same ledger for all your stock items. Say sales, I want to use it for all my stock. Okay, that can be one reason. One more reason being all your setup might clash. Okay, we'd like to keep it at one level. Okay, so it's better to do it at the stock level than at the ledger level. But in those cases where the ledgers are, say, expense ledgers, you do it at the ledger level or that ledger's group level. Okay, uh, one second. If you look at this is an expense where we say that these are the ledgers. Now, in case of printing and stationery expense, it's a purchase ledger. If you notice, printing and stationery will have 5%, will have 12% also, will have 18% also, depending on the nature. Okay. If you buy stationery, you might have 18%, you might have 5%. Now, in that case, creating multiple printing and stationery expense ledgers of say 5%, 18%, wherein you might not even have 12 transactions a year. Okay. So in that case, it makes sense that you specify in the voucher. But this is a pretty risky, case where you might have to check each and every voucher for their accuracy, for their correctness. So that would be one challenge, but it will save you a lot of space by, not creating those additional rate-wise ledgers. That will be your benefit here. So that is why we specify in voucher. If I just create, for example, telephones, let me just create a group. Let me just look into this for that matter. Okay, you can set your HSN information, your GST applicability at the group level itself. Now, as I mentioned, printing and stationery. Now, your client is pretty, firm on saying, no, I want my rate-wise ledgers made. So if that is the case, then what you can do is you can create your applicability here, put your, say, your HSN information here, and your rate-wise information flows in the ledger. Okay, that can be one thing that you can think of. Or say all your 18% rate ledgers, you want to group them together. In that case, you can, do your rate summary here. This will require a little bit of, communication with your client. And, you might have to set this up for them and give. Okay. Now, since we're running short of time, I am just going to quickly skip into the next level, which is the voucher level, which is pretty simple. So I'm not going to take more than a minute here. Now, when you have defined that, you want to do it at the voucher level, say, now this is the party. You can change your mode and say accounting invoice. Okay. Since this is going to be expense voucher. So I'll say printing and stationery expense, wherein I'll say 1,000 rupees charge. If you don't get information, just press F12. Okay, save. I'm so sorry. That's why. This is an expense ledger. You're supposed to pass purchase entry. The moment you select the right this thing, yeah. So you said specify it here. So I want to specify say 5% in this case, and the HSN information you can just whenever it's purchased, please pick up the information from the invoice and write it until you have reason to believe that it is wrong. In those cases, you might have to contact your supplier because the invoice is the final out, your document, and that has to compulsorily match with the data. If you just see again, this would match automatically. So in each of the case, the specify information here, this particular information. Now you might have a question for me asking, okay, I have specified it at various levels, but how would I know? You know, how would someone know who specified what at what level? Okay, so now is where we will look into this particular information. I'm so sorry, my screen got stuck. Yeah. Is my screen visible? Is the screen visible?
Yeah, the tally screen is visible now.
Okay. Okay. If you just look at here, you will be able to see what is the GST information, which is rate-wise, whatever. Additionally, you can show the source. Okay. What would be your source? Okay, define in stock item. I will show again. Okay. Now, this report is available in GST reports. Okay. Over here, say stock item, where it will show you what was the applicability from which date. Okay, what was the taxability? What was the HSN? What was the rate? What was the HSN? When was it applicable? Additionally, it can show you the source and show you the nature of transaction, the breakup, whatever you wanted. Okay, along with it can also show you the source for the breakup as well. So if you just look at this, the source is at company level, majority company level. Wherever it is ledger, you might look into the ledger. Now, only where the item is, say, where it says that, you want inference is from the voucher, that is what you might have to do in-depth analysis with. So in this scenario, your audit of, say, rate and all of that, once you have checked whether the rate is correct and wherever it is system inferred, automatically everything has been checked. Like that, you can finish your work faster. Otherwise, you might have to go inside and check a lot of other details to just make sure that the rate is correct. Whenever we do GST audit now, now it is not called audit, but still we are supposed to check all of this when we advise our clients. So when we come to the auditor's shoes, we can now very quickly see what and all ledgers have been set up, and whether the rating is or the rates are correct. Similarly, again for stock item, same way you can again check it. What is the source? What is the source? And you can just export this and keep it as your documentation. Now, wherever is, say defined at, everything defined at stock level, so you don't have much of an issue. But if it's at, voucher level, then you might have to look into the same. Okay, so in this particular case, it is, specified in voucher, which is what it is showing. Now, now having said that, now we have, looked into the uh, setup where we were here, and also a little bit of GST in configuration and implementation. Also, we looked into the inventory. I would just go back to the inventory items. This is what I was talking about when we were talking about, say, whether GST is applicable at what level. Use GST classification. Please use it at GST inventory level or at ledger level. Now, along with that, I've seen a lot of people creating stock for their services as well. Okay. Now, if it's a consumable, you might have to consume that stock. Okay. So I would say do not create stock item for expenses. Okay. Please create ledgers for expenses and not stock item. Second rule of book, please pass your expense or your income entries in sales or purchase voucher type respectively. Please try to pass as many of your entries in the purchase voucher type. Do not, uh, please do not use journal voucher type. I'm not telling that your entries will not get passed. Your reporting will get better if you use your purchase and sales voucher type. That is one small tip. Now, you might say, I want differentiation. I want my purchases to be separate and I want my expenses to be separate. Now, this is where your voucher type comes into place. Okay. This is where your voucher type comes into place. If you look into my voucher types, I have something known as GST sales, GST purchase. These are products created by me for easy thing. I'm sure all of us know this, but I'm just going to take you through. Now, in case you want an income voucher type, okay, instead of creating it in journal, create it in sales. I'll do the benefit in like 5 minutes. Ma'am, how much time do we have? I will take it accordingly. Komal?
Yeah.
How much time do we have? How long can
We
we take?
actually not much, like half an hour we have. So I think, but you've covered most of the topics. So we are doing the inventory thing, Abhi. So we'll take it
Yeah, yeah.
forward.
No, I will
Hmm.
accordingly, emphasize. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, fine. So 10 minutes? Komal, 10 minutes?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Aram se abhi to it's 4 o'clock, so it's depending on you, you can finish. We have pretty half an hour for sure. 35 minutes
Okay,
actually. Yeah.
perfect. Okay. So coming here, okay, the method of voucher numbering, generally they say, here they have chosen manual, but multi-user auto or automatic is what they use. Okay. And create prevention of creating duplicate. Okay. Retain original voucher number. Please maintain this for your audit trail purpose specifically. Also, for your sales entry specifically, wherein one entry you change and all the voucher numbers change off. So for those scenarios, please, this is the option you would have to choose. Now, additional numbering detail, if you want to set, this is where you do your customization of prefixes and suffixes. I'm sure if you do know about it, I'll just quickly say what would be your starting number. Say someone has a key number from have. What would be the width? Have you seen invoice numbers? Those are the things. Do you want to fill them or you don't fill them? I would say otherwise there's no point of a width. Now, what is your applicability from where and what would be your periodicity? Yearly, monthly, quarterly, as the case may be. I'll just show you. Yearly, daily, monthly, as the case may be, as your requirement is. Generally, yearly. Applicable again. Okay, whatever prefix you want. Now, this is KBCL, so I want to start it with KBCL slash or say whatever. Now, suffix, if you want to add the year or as the case may be. Now, retain original number behavior. Now, unused vouchers in transaction. Do you want to show them? Okay. Now, I would like to see them. Yes. So, yes. Now, use effective date for vouchers. If you want them, you and do it. Do you want to allow zero value transaction? Now, for example, you have some invoices in between where you have, say, warranty invoices and all of that. If you want them, you can say this to be yes. Now, whether you want a narration in your invoices and you want narration for each ledger in the invoice, okay, that also you can set it up. Now, if you don't set it up here, you can set it up later as well. Do you want default account allocation? If you want them, you say yes. I would say no because and if there's any QR code which has come newly, now I'm just going to quickly shift. Now, default GST registration. Now, if you have multiple registrations, you might create each voucher type for each registration. Okay. If you want to do that, you can do that. And series. Series for all. Use common series. Whether you want to use, generally it is no. But if you want to use the same series, then you can say yes. Now, this is where a lot of automation magic happens. Okay. Now, the class. Now, I will say local. Okay. Please bear with me for another 5 minutes and we will then proceed to the last leg of our this thing. So what I was talking about configuration and automation is here at voucher class, and you can easily exclude groups, include groups. Okay. Now, for example, in sales, what is the use of creditors? Okay. Similarly, in purchases, what is the use of ours? You can stop them from your bank may not be used. You don't want to have any transactions. You want to include a certain particular groups. What would be your accounting allocation? Whether it is sales or, say expense ledger. But if it's item, it will be in only in the sales group that include here. They say this would be a common ledger. Now you want 100% on this or something, and then you want to do GST automation, say since it's local, I will use CGST. I'm sorry, output CGST. Okay. I'm going to say output STST. Okay. It's GST. Remove if zero. No, I don't want to remove it if zero. That means it will show even if it's zero. Now, if you just look into this, accept master and update vouchers. Okay. I'll just say yes. Now, let's just go back to the voucher. Again, F8. Now it will ask me GST sales, this is the voucher type and this is the voucher class. If you just look into this, automatically output CGST and SGST have come into play. Okay. The moment you select all particular items, okay. I'm sorry, 1 second. I did not check. And like this, you can create n number of voucher classes. Oh, I'm so sorry. I realized the mistake. Now, if you just realized you're not able to see anything because it's accounting invoice format. The moment you make it accounting invoice, you can select your party. Okay. Now you are not able to see what ledger has, been selected. There's nothing which has just been, it is not visible to, um, excuse me. Okay, so you don't have the choice to select anything. I mean, the ledgers have been predefined in this case. automatically you don't have the possibility of an error of say IGST invoice being chosen as SGST and vice versa. Similarly, now let me just choose a party where the place of supply is different. Okay. If you see the tax details are modified, whether you want to accept or this thing, or whether you want to accept or deny. Now, if you look into this, it will show you the error is because the place of supply is not matching. It is a Karnataka registration, and you're passing a local bill for the place of supply which is not in Karnataka. That is the reason it will show you an error. When you go to the return, it will show you an error. But but this is just a very low level automation. Once you automated it completely, it will not even show you a value there. Okay, it will not even show you say any sort of value if you choose a wrong entry. Say um okay, and the moment you select again, it will show you throw error message because the the entry, the party's place of supply and the tax is not matching. But the more you go further and you automate it as much, the further, you'll be able to even eliminate these particular instance. Now, final, I was talking about saved views. I'm quickly just gonna take you to the sales summary. Okay, sales register. Say this is the sales register for this month. I'll go to another month. Yeah, let us just go to this particular month. You have multiple sales register. There are multiple views. I'm sure you know it. One is the columnar view. This is the best view if you want to get all information, say, rate wise and ledger wise in a columnar format. But there's another view which you have, which is called an extract view. Okay. Now this also gives you information of say how much the CGST, how much is the IGST, how much is the SGST on an overall basis. Now this is what you're going to match with your GSTR1, if I'm not wrong. So you can just take, and how much of your debtor value is attributed to this particular, say this particular GST transaction. How much of your sales value is attributable to this particular, these particular G transactions. How much cash transactions have happened. All that insight you'll get without even, creating any exorbitant report. It's just nothing but an extract, a summary of these particular transactions. Now, this value, if you go to your GSTR1 and match it with the GSTR1, it will match. Now, all you need to do is export and keep it for your future reference. And there is one thing called saved view. You can say, this is sales extract, right? So you can create one sales extract. Do you want this default view? No, I want to see the sales register as well. Show the additional configuration. Now, when we do the work, I feel you should select all companies because you're going to keep doing it for many clients together. Save with selected period. No, I don't want to save it with the period because I might want to keep changing my, the period of the for each company and each month maybe. Now, if you go to say sales extract and you get the extract for every party, change the period and you'll get extracts. So instead of taking one complete, if you just notice, there's a creditor standing in the debtor sales voucher. So you can definitely ask, why is there a creditor? How have you sold to your creditor? It might be a genuine transaction, but it will give you possibilities to check it. Okay. Similarly, how is there an IGST ledger and why is it grouped in current assets? All that questions can be raised. Okay. Having said that, if there's any particular, query that you have, I think I've covered most of the uh, part of our agenda. Minimizing errors, I would also take it up when we are doing the return. One last and final, do I have 5 minutes, Komal?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So one last feature that is required is your security. This is your company level security. Please enable it for your company, even if it's done by one person. Now, where I would tell our work is at the user roles, data entry. I'll just take, this is the default user roles given by Tally. Use basic facilities of data entry. Now, if you just see, yeah, allow to override tax details. If you disable this, no, where we were able to, where I was getting, I'm sorry, where I was getting those vouchers, right, where there were errors, and they gave me an option to accept, override. This particular place where there was a box which was created in the end. Okay, this is a Gujarat party. I'm just going to quickly change uh, the value 91,000 instead of 90,000. Okay. The moment I'm going to say accept, it's going to ask me tax does not match. Do you want to accept? This particular accept override information itself will not come. Will not allow me to override itself if we do the security. Now, this particular security is a topic in itself, but I'm just giving you an opportunity to think, a window to think about. And, this is also, could be a vertical in itself. And if your security is intact, your audit trail questions, your your internal financial control queries on that, a lot of those things, can be answered very smoothly. All you have to do is, check up the security, and the best thing you can add value to your client is you can give them a, IT manual, you can give them a security manual, what do you call it, an IT infrastructure, uh, a security infrastructure, and, provide them with this telling, you will be able to track where the error is happening and how can you minimize your errors. Once you do the voucher type auto meeting, you can come here and say that I want to enable only I want to allow only creation of accounting vouchers, or say sales GST only. This particular party data entry, whoever is having, can only create sales entry. Now, the moment you give user and password, say Mr. A, he has, sorry, data entry. I want to give it to Mr. A, and he has only sales entry. That way, he will not be able to get into any other, uh, aspect. If you have a hierarchy like that, if you do not have an hierarchy also, uh, you might give them creation rights only and not alteration rights, or as your need fits. But having a security will reduce your errors to a very huge level, and chances of frauds become, say, 50%. So with that, I would like to end today's session. Anything missed out, please be rest assured it will be covered in the next session.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Just two query, Monika ji. One is, can we create a single ledger for a particular expense like printing and stationery for availing GST input, and also not for availing GST input, because sometimes we avail input and sometimes not avail. Like one thing with GST and one without GST, but the same object. Is it possible?
Yeah, so where we did the specify in voucher itself, that place you can do. But having said that, I would suggest if you're availing and not availing GST, I would suggest you do it separately. However, you can do it. Let me just go to a first voucher type. Sorry. Okay. Since it's in accounting, I'm not changing the mode and all. I'm just quickly doing them this itself. Now here you can specify and say it is not non-GST, or say exempt. Okay, mostly it's going to be exempt. So you can say it's exempt, and why is it exempt, and all the tax details you can mention, and say browser page, and then you will not be able to. You can just pass this. Okay, this there's some issue not working, but uh, okay, there is some issue here, so it's not working. But having said that, since the data is continuous and all of that is happening, I'll just do a thing. 23. Okay, now when I accept it, yeah, you can basically do it. If you just saw, I just did it. For that case, you'll have to specify it at voucher level. So you can do it entry based, and you can do exemption or non-GST as the case may be. I'm sure you got the point here,
Yeah.
because I'm not.
The next query is how to pass Rule 86B entry in Tally.
Okay. Rule 86B, can someone enlighten me what exactly it is? Because I don't know rules
even
by the numbers?
I actually was googling the same. So Rule 86B effect limiting ITC use for output tax liability above 99%.
Okay. Okay, fine. Because I do not, remember rules
Yeah,
by
it's
their
quite
numbers. That's the
possible. Yeah,
problem.
of course.
Yeah. Okay, there are others, and you can just create whatever the reversal you want to do. So GST. This is a GS stat entry, and you'll be able to pass. You can always go here.
Okay.
Stat assessment, all J. Okay, so it's GST. Now, this is reversal of input tax credit. You have other options, increase in and decrease in liability, or whatever be the case. Here, this is reversal clearly, and Rule 86B directly is not available. So, so the rules which are directly available is there, or you just do others, and you can create and mention it. Say now countries is what you're going to reverse, and you can do it here and keep.
The next query is, can we get ineligible input credit report ledger-wise? Is that available?
Sorry?
Ineligible input tax credit ledger-wise.
Ineligible input tax
Input credit report.
Okay. Ineligible input tax credit, you want it ledger-wise. Here you will find. Okay, this I'll have to look and tell you because I'm not very pretty sure because I haven't in
We'll
actually.
maybe bring it in the flow of the next week session just to address this.
Yeah,
This
I
meanwhile,
will
if it is
definitely keep
possible or not possible, we'll know that. So I'll also take a note of this query so that we can address this. So
Yeah, I think it is available, but I haven't even looked into it actually, to be very honest.
no,
So
and I
I'm
think
not
it would
pretty
be
sure.
ideal that we conclude today's session. You'll be feeling better next week, so this could go a lot better than today.
Yeah,
And we have addressed all the queries we received in chat and the Q&A. So safe to say we can conclude the session. Thanks a lot, and please feel well. We'll be
yeah.
waiting for you next week. Yeah, thank you. I'll end the
Thank you.
session.